Okay, we're now in the last video that we will use. The way I've explained it to you at the start of the course, and I'm going to reiterate it probably several times more, the last module is a synthesis module specifically designed for you to bring together your learning over the last 5 weeks to determine and demonstrate, to determine that you have the knowledge and demonstrate that you can use the knowledge. Got ahead of myself there. So you have a synthesis project in Module 5. I will be sending you material, but by now you probably have a pretty good idea of the variety of areas that you're interested in that has a political element built into it. So this one is the one where we're going to talk about something I debated when we put the course together initially. Should this come first or should this come last? My sense is it's the core of everything that we do, and I think it's important that you understand it, because you may actually represent it, but at the same time, maybe some of you didn't go to school. What we're basically talking about, is the nature of the client that we are serving. And believe me, as I've probably told you several times, one of my proudest moments is that hanging on my wall is a diploma that says I'm an associate degree holder. And the students that I sat in class with many, many years ago looked very different from the students that I taught and administered over, if you will, at the community college where I spent the majority of my time here in Maryland. But I will say that the first actually three community colleges I was with before that looked very much like the schools, like the students in the schools that I went to. So to make a long story short, in August of last year, one of the most brilliant of the young Turk presidents that is based in the CUNY system. Now, I probably should say a word or two about CUNY. That stands for City University of New York. There are, I'm not sure if it's 5 or 6, they've added one. You have the 2-year schools that are all made up under the large chancellor-driven City University of New York higher education system. And the president of LaGuardia, there's a little trivia question for you. What was that school named after? Named after a very famous mayor of New York in the 1930s, Fiorello LaGuardia. It's probably maybe the third oldest. But the point is, their president, a Dr. Gail Mello, who is an extraordinarily able and very incisive and insightful individual, published on what they call an op-ed in the on-campus unit within the New York Times. And she said, the title of The Biggest Misconceptions About Today's College Students. And she says she is a community college president. We got fair treatment in that story. Too often when you read articles like that in things like the Chicago Tribune, the Washington Post, the New York Times, they're talking about predominantly the 4-year schools. But she involved us in the program. And I bring this together for you under the rubric that we were handling regarding developmental education. I could spend a lot of time talking about some of the new work that's being done. Cognitive psychology and neuroscience are both cutting-edge activities that tell us that a lot of what we thought we knew about human learning for the last half a century isn't true. And that's something that I've had a lot of fun trying to catch up with. But what we're going to talk about is how, if you understand the student that you're working with or counseling or helping to place, you will discover that we used to call it remedial, and I never liked that phrase, because these are folks usually closer to the average age at community colleges, which is 29 and climbing. They know a great deal, but they've been away from traditional schoolroom-based education for a number of years. In some cases, 10 or 11, it's up to as many as 20. So what Gail tried to point out was just exactly how the 21st century has changed how we look at these students. There are a couple of things that we need to be aware of. First of all, as I said, the age is climbing. Why is it climbing? It's climbing if you hark back to our second module when we talked about the impact of change. Change is growing at a rate, I can't think of it, it's not quite exponential yet, but it's nearly there. So that's an issue. The other issue that we face is a kind of a bifurcated issue, and that is The majority of our, so we say from 25 to 40-year-olds are employed or underemployed, meaning specifically that they're looking to maintain a job that they have by upping their technology, or to get another job, but to do it they have to have a new technology. So that's quite different from when I sat in my classrooms at the age of 18. I was working 15 hours a week, but most of my job was to be a student. These folks are in a situation that very frankly, we have called the sandwich generation. Now, what does that mean? Very simply, what the sandwich generation means is these folks are going to school. Many of them have children, ranging from single digit all the way up to being in high school. And at the same time, the shoe is on the proverbial other foot, in that many of them are working with older parents and grandparents. So they're sandwiched in the middle. So one of the things that you read a lot about, but it shows that the people writing about it don't understand it, and that's this idea we're very concerned about retention. Well, obviously, it is important, but you also have to understand that when you're talking about the sandwich generation, 25 to 40, what you're talking about is a stopping out procedure. And that is, a person will go along, complete a certain portion of the degree, but then for a variety of family, work, or other social responsibility, they have to stop out. And we have to be much more aware of and organizing our educational delivery system so that this can be done. We have courses online, as you're taking this one. We have courses that are compacted. Frankly, you're taking a compacted 5-week course. We have courses where you can take the entire course away with you and process it the way you want. And we have the traditional in the classroom. But as I mentioned to you in an earlier tape, we also have classes at the work site, which is a very attractive model. We collaborate. In the community where I live, the community college where I retired from works very, very closely with the professional development office at the large medical facility. And a good deal of education goes on before work starts and after they get off in that way. So you have to look at that. You also have to look at the fact that one of the problems that many folks face, I remember arguing for years at the community college where I was, because many of these students want to go to work. They want to go to school after they get off work. And if they're dependent upon mass transportation, that's not such a big deal in the city. You can get a bus almost anywhere in the city of Baltimore. But if you can't, we had a bus system, and I thought that was really wonderful. And a lot of our courses at the college where I was ran from 6 to 8 and 8 to 10, 2 nights a week. Well, the bus would drop you off at 6 o'clock, no problem. But that was it. The bus did not come back to the college at 8 o'clock or at 10 o'clock. So that created a transportation problem. The other situation that we get ourselves very concerned about is how do we identify with these students what they need to add. The last thing in the world that you need for a student is to ask them to learn material that they already know. They may not know that they know it in an academic, theoretical way, but if you work closely with the industry, there are many things in the technologies, in mathematics, even in writing, that are appropriate if you make it available to them and show them how it is that you're using it. So what we need to do as a group, and you're going to be the next generation, that's why you're in the program that you're in. You have to understand that education in the 21st century is a partnership. And the more people you involve in the partnership, the greater the opportunity to get ready the next generation of workers that will make the American economy, to borrow a phrase which I don't particularly like, but to make America great again. So think ahead now. I'll be available to you in my normal communication, email, telephone, etc., face-to-face, what you're going to do for your synthesis project in Unit 5. Thank you.